Mr. Armando Anaya.
Hi. Well, what can I say? I have so many embarrassing stories about Peter. But, I mean, he's embarrassing himself enough, so there's no competition with what I could say. Anyway, I was working at Bonampak, the same field season that I was talking about last night. That same field season, I read Peter's work on the Bonampak dynasty, and I said, man, I gotta work with this guy, I gotta meet this guy. It was something that I really wanted in my heart. And it became a dream come true. Of course, if you dream of being in a goon show, and I have my personal necklace. That's been my experience with Peter. It's always joking and joking. But I would like to talk a little bit more about Peter in the field, because he's a very interesting character in that sense. And I was shocked the other night that John said that they took turns cooking, and that Peter also cooked. And I said, man, that's not the Peter I met. When we were in El Cayo, we didn't have a cook first. The first field season, we didn't have a cook. So we had to take turns cooking. And it was Peter's turn, and he was supposed to make breakfast. I mean, what can go wrong with breakfast, right? So this guy makes us some Vegemite sandwiches, and that was the end of the story. He never cooked again. Fortunately, we had Marcello, which made a wonderful pasta. We had Mario Alifat, who is also a very good cook, and we survived that first field season. Anyway, that's the Peter that we knew, that I know in the field. I remember one day at El Cayo, we were surveying, just laying out the polygon around the site, and Peter's such a gentleman. I mean it really. He's such a gentleman. We were surveying. He was holding the stadia rod, and he didn't notice that he was standing on a fire ant nest. So he got all these ants, and well, we were at the community because the community lived on the site at El Cayo. And at that time of the day, the men were out in the field, and the women always stayed, and they followed us everywhere. So, oh my God, sorry about that. Can you turn this off? Okay, I got it. So he's there, all covered with fire ants, and man, I would have pulled down my pants at that moment, but he wouldn't do it because there were all these ladies around, and he didn't want to offend them. So
I was holding on to the stadia rod.
He was holding on to the stadia rod. He was holding on to the stadia rod. So anyway, he took it like a man, and when we got to the camp, he took off his pants, and you look at his legs, and you wanted to cry. Man, I've never seen such a terrible sight of those legs all swollen and bitten. But that was Peter. I mean, he is a real field person. And just to tell you about, there's another incident I remember very well. This happened during our incident at El Cayo. We had crossed the river, and we decided to go down the river using the dugout canoe where only 2 people fit, right? So we were going at night on the river because we didn't want to be seen from the other side because we were afraid. And we were close to the edge of the river, and then we suddenly hear this big splash. And of course, we had flown around the river, we've seen big crocodiles. And everyone shouted, crocodile. So in this little canoe, everyone jumped in the canoe. The first one up there was Peter. The first one up there. How did we do it? I don't know. But we found out that it was fish, because then we saw them just jumping around. We just startled those fish. So it was an interesting reaction. The first one to jump into the canoe was Peter. But he was always a professional. I remember we were all tired, hungry, thirsty, beaten up, walking in the jungle, But Peter and I were looking around, surveying for sites, and we saw, I remember walking next to a rock outcrop, and we got near to it thinking it was a temple, a Maya temple, and got near, and he said, it looks like a temple, right? Yeah, it does. So let's get closer. So that's the kind of person Peter is. I mean, even under pressure, under terrible pressure, he would not take off his archaeology hat. So that's Peter Mathews, my very good friend and my mentor, as I said. Thank you.
John, come up. Come up now.